and then action items. After action items, we'll go to old business, new business, correspondence, approval of minutes, citizens forum, and then we will enter into executive session. So if we could start with the pledge, if everybody could stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We could have a moment of silence for all the senseless acts of violence in the world today. Thank you. Public service announcements. Mary Lou?
I have nothing.
Mary Jo? David? No. The only thing I see, we have the state primary Tuesday, September 1st, 2026 at the Sturbridge Host Hotel. Polls open at 6:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Early voting for the primary will begin on Saturday, August 22nd, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Sturbridge Town Hall. Early voting during normal business hours, Monday, August 24th at 8 a.m. through Friday, August 28th at 12 noon. And now, you go ahead.
I do have one.
Go ahead,
I'm
yeah.
sorry,
No,
I just thought of it. So the Special Events Committee is hosting a pickleball tournament, and it's free. You can sign up through the rec department, and it'll have a site for how you go about doing it. It's going to be held at the rec on Saturday, September 25th, with a rain date of the 26th. You can compete in a casual section or in a competitive. So if you've never played pickleball before, you can sign up for casual. If you're good, sign up for competitive. It's going to be mixed doubles, all doubles, mixed doubles, male doubles, female doubles. So we're trying to introduce the sport a little bit more to everybody, and you should see signs around town. We haven't gotten them yet, but you will. And we're live, so you can go on the rec department website and sign up.
Sounds fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm excited.
Came together well. It came together.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Are you going to play, Mary?
No, I am going to be there and, get involved, but our son Matthew is competing in the mixed doubles, so I told him I wanted him to bring home a win for the family. But I've only played pickleball 3 times, so maybe I'll sign up for casual, actually. Set it on the air now, but we'll see. We'll see.
Good.
Now you're locked in.
Not maybe.
Yeah, they like it now. Great. Next up, we'll have the joint meeting with the Board of Assessors for the allocation of the FY 2027 local property tax levy among real and personal property classes.
So I have not seen them come up yet.
Okay.
So do you want to? Oh, are they in the still? Do they want to be cool? Are they? Look, yeah. Let me just let them know we're ready. If not, we can move and wait.
Yeah.
Or we can have them come back after. There you go. They didn't know we were ready. Well, I have a second under the public service announcements, if I could. We have another 3 days that we are still taking essays for the opioid scholarship fund. So it's a $500 book or tools for any student going for post-secondary education that graduated Tantascwa this year. Sturbridge residents only. You could be homeschooled. If you didn't graduate Tantascwa, you could be homeschooled or Bay State, but a Sturbridge resident graduate. So 3 more days. If you look on my website, the prompt is up on my website for the essay. So we've had a few entries, but we'd certainly like to get a few more.
All right, thank you. All right, Ann, how are you? How you doing? Good. So we're here for the joint meeting with the Board of Assessors. And you want to kind of walk us through, or Robin?
Okay.
So yeah, no, Ann, we're welcome to, yep, Francis, you want to put that? There we go. Beautiful.
All right. So tonight, we're here to present the 2027 classification hearing. I am Ann Murphy, I'm the principal assessor.
I'm Paul Murphy, Chairman of the Board of Assessors.
Maura McGrath, Secretary.
Lorraine Herbert.
Okay, so the purpose of this tax classification hearing is to have the select board consider all the tax options that are available to the municipality. The hearing is held after we have received our final values, and this classification hearing does not decide the tax rate, nor does it decide how much money is to be raised. How much money is to be raised was decided at town meeting. And the tax rate that we are using in this presentation is proposed. It has not been certified by the Department of Revenue. So this is a copy of our LA4. This is what the Board of Assessors has to submit to the Bureau of Local Assessments. It gives a breakdown of our classes. We have the residential class, we have a commercial class, industrial class, and personal property. The commercial, industrial, and personal property classes are going to be referred to as the SIP class during this presentation. The property type codes are down on the first column, and on the next slide, it gives you the breakdown of what those codes stand for. Right now, the total town value of all classes is $2,237,034,571. We have 4,442 properties within the residential, commercial, industrial, and mixed use. 306 are exempt parcels, and 577 are personal property parcels. So now this gives you the 10-year history of the single-family values. As you can see, they increased steadily as we were going along. You'll see the biggest increases between 2022 and 2025, which was post-COVID. And as you can see, the last 2 years, we seem to be back into more of a normal percentage of an increase for the single-family value. For 2027, the average single-family value is $522,949. Sorry. So the next slide will show you the tax levy with a single tax rate. So it would be 84.58% is the residential responsibility, and the SIP responsibility would be 15.42%. So you're going to vote on a SIP factor tonight, which is you would determine whether you want to shift the tax rate. Whether you want to have a single tax rate for both residential and the SIP, or if you want to adopt the split tax rate, which would lower the residential factor. Of the 351 Massachusetts cities and towns, 145 have a higher SIP rate than Sturbridge. The higher the SIP value, the more feasible to do a split tax rate. And in fiscal 26, 116 had a tax rate, 116 had a split tax rate, and of those, 99 had a higher SIP than Sturbridge. So the impact of a split tax rate. It reduces the taxes for residential properties, but it increases the taxes for mixed use, commercial, industrial, and for taxpayers required to pay a personal property tax. We have 4,119 residential properties and about 900 commercial, industrial, and personal properties. 150% shift would increase the SIP rate by $7.73 per thousand and reduce the residential rate by $1.41 per thousand. A 125 shift would increase the SIP rate by $3.86 per thousand and reduce the residential rate by 70 cents per thousand. So this is a comparison of what would happen. Using the average single-family value of $522,949, if you adopt the 150% shift, the residential property would see $810 in reduced taxes, but the SIP properties would see an increase of over $12,000. 125% shift would see a reduction of $439 in taxes for the residential, And the SIP property would see over $1,900 in an increase. And 110% shift, I'm sorry, my throat is, here. 110% shift would see a residential property with a reduction of $219, and the SIP property would see an increase of $737. So that is, that is our split tax rate presentation. The next item that you would be voting on would be the residential exemption. I apologize, my throat is very scratchy. So the residential exemption is an option under the property tax class that shifts the tax burden within the residential class. So you would get some qualified properties of moderately valued properties, and the owners of unqualified higher properties, including vacation home, residential properties not occupied by the owner, and also apartments. They would see an increase. So the fiscal 27 tax rate is proposed at $15.46 per thousand. Residential exemption has a maximum amount of 35% that could be exempted for qualifying properties. And the following slide will show two scenarios of the tax impact, one with a 35% exemption and one with a 15% exemption. So on a single-family property that's assessed at $522,949. With the single tax rate, it would be $7,060.55. If we were to adopt the 35% exemption, the tax rate would change to $1,965 for all properties. The qualifying properties would see a reduction of about $1,227, and the non-qualifying property would see an increase of over $1,900. The 15% exemption, the tax rate would have changed from $1,546 to $1,702, with the residential qualifying seeing a savings of $453 and a non-qualifying seeing an increase of $712. So the shifting point for a residential exemption is that 3,730 properties would see a decrease in their real estate taxes. 401 properties would see an increase in their real estate taxes. And keep in mind that the Sturbridge Retirement Co-op would be greatly impacted if a residential exemption were adopted. They would see if it was a 35%, they would see over $14,000 increase, and if it was a 15%, they would see almost $6,000 increase. The next option that you would be voting on is a small commercial exemption. Only the commercial properties are eligible for this, but the industrial properties are impacted by it. Properties must be occupied by the business as of January 1st of 2026, but it does not have to be owner occupied. No more than 10 employees at all locations during the previous calendar year, and the property valuation cannot be more than $1 million. If the property has multiple commercial occupants, all the businesses have to qualify. So if you have 6 separate businesses on a mall, like the strip malls, if 5 of them qualify and 1 doesn't, the property doesn't qualify. So we get a list from the Department of Labor and Workforce. There was 147 businesses on the list. 35 of those would possibly qualify. A 10% shift would increase their tax rate from $15.46 to $15.62, so approximately 16 cents. Qualified commercial property assessed at $834,259 would see a decrease of about $1,100, and a non-qualified would see an increase of $133. Only the commercial properties can qualify, but the industrial properties share the burden. Again, it is owner occupied. It is the owner of the property, not the businesses, that receive the tax benefit. The commercial properties account for 10.29% of our levy, and the industrial properties account for 1.92% of the levy. And any sole proprietorship or partnership that does not appear on the list can apply directly to the assessor's office, and the assessors will make the determination, excuse me, whether it meets the criteria. And that is our presentation for tonight. The board did vote at their meeting. They voted to recommend a single tax rate They voted not to recommend a residential exemption, and they voted not to recommend the small commercial exemption.
If I could just follow up on that, I do concur with the board on this for a couple of reasons, just if you'll indulge me for a second. I think the split rate, while a lot of people would like to put a little more on the businesses, because we are such a small number of businesses, it is so overwhelming. You saw it's thousands. And what that would do is impact the small mom and pop and some of our restaurants and hotels. And in all honesty, that's where we get our meals and receipt taxes. So I think it's a goose that lays the golden egg, and I think you're kind of chopping that goose's head off, for lack of a better, maybe that wasn't
We don't
nice.
want to do that.
I'm going to correct you, apparently, I'm not talking about that. We like the goose. And if that goose is laying the golden egg of those meals taxes coming back and those hotel taxes, and not to mention the mom and pop businesses that really are part of what draw people to our town. The residential split, that split rate on residential, while it sounds nice and charge people for the vacation home, the fact that it would fall into our retirees, as far as I'm concerned, is sort of a non-starter on that, to put any further burden on our elderly population, our retirement community, I think goes against what most of us feel is appropriate. And then finally, again, I think this one, while it might help the small businesses a little bit, we don't have a lot of industrial. We want to encourage good, positive industrial. The industrial we have right now is good. We're looking at a company, an international company that's doing some expansion. We have like a G&F that's here. So the industrial we have isn't so massive that it's going to absorb that like nothing. It's sort of small to moderate size industrial. So I do think that while nobody loves taxes, I think the way it's being done now makes a lot of sense, and I don't think that making those changes is going to bring anything positive, and any relief we give to one side is going to be disproportionately. If it was a proportional relief, I think it would be a little more acceptable maybe, but it's such a disproportional, so you get a little off your taxes, but this person's getting like quadruple the tax. You saw when it cuts down, it's like more than half for a 0.25%. It almost doubles the amounts. It's so disproportionate on the commercial split rate. So just my recommendation, I believe we have to take it by 3 separate votes, and
Yep.
obviously if you have questions.
We don't do open space.
Oh, 4 votes.
Oh, right, I'm sorry, yes, sir, sorry.
I just have a question, just refresh my recollection on why we don't need to, and for the people watching, vote on the open space exemption anymore.
Our open space, we used to classify, people get it confused with the other open space we have.
Right,
The open space that we used to classify was chapter land.
right.
And the Department of Revenue had done a lot of changes with the use codes and mixed-use codes where it wasn't working by keeping them in the open space classification. They had to go back to their original commercial classification in order for the database and things to split it out correctly. So that does impact, if you did go with a split rate, the commercial, the chapter land properties would be on the commercial rate.
And just, that does not, just to be clear for everybody, but that does not mean that open space can now be used as commercial. I mean, just for anybody listening,
No.
it's really a tax classification, it is not a use classification.
Well, I know consistently, we had voted it down anyway,
Yes.
because they got enough
Right.
protection with
But
the
it has nothing to
statute.
do with like the open space that like the planning office always talks about, their
Right.
open space
Right.
thing. That's a totally separate type of open space. Ours is strictly a classification.
Yes, it's a
type of-
classification, not an actual use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what keeps me, can I still?
Yeah.
What keeps me every year, I don't vote for the residential exemption, just primarily because of that retirement community. Because otherwise it, you know, some of our more moderate homes would get a break. And I have people tell me from time to time that they're having a hard time affording Sturbridge. But really, that's just going to shift it to the the retirement community is assessed at over $1 million, right?
Yeah.
And so they would be impacted, and that's where a lot of our seniors live who are on limited needs. So that kind of takes care of that for me, but.
Cutoff is like, the value cutoff is like 749,000. Up to that point, they would see a decrease in their taxes. Now, the amount of that decrease that I gave as an example is for a $522,000 value. So that doesn't mean that everybody would see a $1,200 decrease. So the lower price ones would see a lower decrease, but,
I get it.
you know.
What
and
is
so it's
our
like-
median, what is our median house
The
value?
median was the 522.
Oh, I thought you said that was the
I'm sorry,
average.
that's the average.
That's
I'm
the
sorry,
average.
the average. The median, I don't think I.
I don't think you
calculated
showed it
out
to
the
us, but
median.
I
No,
could've-
I didn't
No,
calculate out the
sometimes you
median.
usually do,
Yep,
because some
I
of
did not do
the
that.
higher priced homes probably push that value up. That's why
Yep.
the median is useful.
And all these up, it would take.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to add them all up. That would take a while.
All right,
we
no,
have- I mean,
I'm just curious if you can
Yeah.
send that.
If it helps, the average single-family home is 522,000, say 523,000. 1,811 are under the average, 1,294 are above the average.
So it's about,
Right around the
pretty
middle.
about even, yeah.
No, I know, but averages are.
Yeah, but I can
Get
send
a
you the
couple
median.
like
Yeah.
$5 million homes and that. kind of
We have
thing.
76 homes that are over $1 million.
Yeah, so
76
that kind of
properties, I should
pushed
say.
the value
Yeah.
up, the average value
Yeah.
up.
When I started here 12 years ago, we had 55 properties under 100,000, and we had 50 properties under 100,000, and we had 5 over $1 million. Now we have 3 under 100,000 and 75 over $1 million. That's in a matter of 12 years. That's how much it has shifted.
Oh, that's wild.
A lot. Yep.
Any other questions from the board? Ken, you have any?
So you have to take that as 3 separate.
3 separate votes.
Yes.
All right, so, and I agree, I think that not doing the split rate where we burden the businesses, we don't want to do that, so I appreciate that a lot. All right, the first vote will be, it's going to be,
I think so, vote, I can make the motion to
Yeah.
vote to adopt a single tax rate.
Second.
we have a motion, we have a second, all those in favor? Next up,
The next vote would be to vote not to adopt the residential exemption. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. We have a motion, a second, all those in favor?
And the third is vote, now make a motion to vote not to adopt the small commercial exemption.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, all those in favor? Great.
Can I ask Ann a quick question?
Yeah, of course. go ahead.
So I'm all for the single tax rate, but I feel like over the years, the number of towns that are starting to split, it looked like it was going up a little bit from what you,
Yeah, I had there, it's been about the same.
oh, really? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I thought it looked a
Nope,
little
that's okay.
higher to me this time,
Well, it was funny because
145.
yeah, somebody had said to me, yeah, that actually was a little higher. Somebody had said to me, oh, AI does all this stuff. And so I pulled up the AI and I compared it to the Department of Revenue's report. AI had so many of it wrong. So many. They were listing, like, Southbridge as having a split tax rate, and no, they don't. They had, like, so many properties on the split tax rate that were not split tax rates. So I said, I'm never using AI. I'll use Department of Revenue reports before I use AI.
And what did you
But-
say, it was like 145? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what I had in the
Yeah.
presentation, which was a little higher than last year. I think last year was like 126.
Yeah, that was quite a
Yeah.
bit more,
Yep.
because how many communities do we have, like?
351.
50.
Yeah, so not
351.
quite half, but like
Yeah,
30, 40%.
No, 145 had a higher SIP value than Sturbridge.
Oh, okay, but how many?
116 had the split tax rate.
Oh, okay.
And I think last year it was like 112 or something, so it's
Okay, so
only
it's a
been
little
around
off.
the
I was
same,
looking at
yeah.
the wrong figure.
Yeah, no, it's, yeah, the 145 had the higher SIP rate than us.
Well, thank you so much for all your hard work. We appreciate it.
Don't forget to adjourn if you're adjourning before you,
Oh, no, we're not going
Okay.
back, we already adjourned.
oh, okay, okay.
Not to make a lot of work for you, but if you could tell me what the median
Yeah,
is.
I will,
I'm just
I'll email
curious.
that to you.
Yeah, just
Okay,
email.
yeah.
I mean, if
So
anybody
I
else
just
wants
need
to know.
you to sign
The middle value,
anywhere
though.
down here.
Usually that's a little more accurate. No, that's okay.
Thank you all very much for your effort.
I know, it's the worst, too. It's so uncomfortable.
I've been going over the presentation all day, so I think I'm just tired.
You practice too much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
I had it down to 13 minutes.
Did great, thank you.
Well, I saw the length of your agenda, and I thought, okay.
There you go.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. DPW. Oh, no, yeah, DPW. We'll do yours at the end. Yep.
Good evening.
How you doing, Heather?
Oh, good.
Good.
So you do have my 2 monthly reports. I will just go over a couple highlights and then answer any questions. So, a couple things, and I don't even know if they might even be in August. I don't even remember exactly when it happened. We've had 2 sinkholes, a water main break, multiple washouts on private roads, and of course, we have been trying to, roadside mow, which I feel like the grass just grows even faster, and trying to get our street sweeping done and getting as much catch basin cleaning we can done, and prepping for our paving projects that are coming up, which I'm sure some of you have seen. So we have all but one location completed up on Brookfield Road, which they should be starting to crack seal tomorrow, in hopes that micro surfacing will be completed next week before school starts. We will be doing patch paving over on Hall Road starting tomorrow. We've already been cutting over there, but we will be having lots of work over there. So general public, if you can avoid Hall Road, I appreciate it. And then there will be crack sealing there and micro surfacing there also within the next 2 weeks. We've also been prepping for our full depth reclamation projects that are coming up on Lead Mine, Lino, Laflamme, Maple, Jameson. I'm going to miss one, Stearns. I think I'm missing one. Champeau. So those have been taking up lots of our time, trying to get those edges pushed back, repairing any of the drainage swales. So that's really what we've been doing. So you heard we have 2 big construction projects coming up for us. With those 2 big paving, we'll be taking up some of our oversight time from the office, making sure that they're moving smoothly. We will try to get as much communication that we can out, keep watching the town website. It's a really good source of information, and we will be getting as much, anybody that signs up through my office, Jacqueline's really great about getting information out. Cedar Street sidewalks have been all but completed. I am very pleased with the outcome, and I see a lot of people using them, so I think that everybody in general is very happy. There's a little bit of cleanup work to still be done, a couple little items that when we did our final walkthrough we found, but in general it's looking really good out there. They will be coming back in the fall to reseed as necessary. That's in their contract. So for now, the major construction there is over. And I think that was actually really nice, and it's really nice to see them getting used. And the residents that I've spoken to over there are very, very happy about it, and actually praise how nice it is to have them. I think that basically covers the main highlights of what I can remember at this point. I'm sure there's 5 bazillion other things going on, but.
You have a lot going on. I see Lead Mine is well underway.
It's, and listen,
Yeah.
and I will get the information out as soon as we can on, when that full depth is starting, but they did have some of their own problems with the rains. Those heavy rain events we got had caused some problems on some roads they had opened, so they're a little bit further delayed than they were hoping. I would hope that by mid-September, they'll be in town, starting to pave.
Good. Any questions from the board for?
Busy. Yeah.
It feels it, but it is good to see some things getting done that we've been working on for a while, so.
Good. I'm hearing none. Thank you, Heather, for all your hard work.
No problem.
Heather?
Next up, we have water and sewer. Shane, how you doing?
How are you?
Are you ready for the Patriots?
Before I begin my reports tonight, I brought with me, this is now my new boss. His name is Zach Donahue. I'll let him tell you the story.
So, good evening. As Shane said, I'm the new Regional Vice President for Veolia, supporting the Sturbridge project. This is a role that I've had for about 2 years now. Previously, my region was Massachusetts East Coast, but I'm very excited to be supporting some projects in Central Mass now. Main reason being that 13 years ago, when I joined Veolia, it was actually Shane who hired me to work at the Sturbridge facility. So I was hired as an entry-level wastewater operator. At that time, I moved to Sturbridge and started a family. So I have 3 children in Burgess Elementary, and I myself am a water and sewer customer. So obviously, the value we bring and the quality we bring is very important to me. So very excited to be, again, working with Shane, working with our local Veolia team and supporting my community. So just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself.
Oh, that's great, yes.
Really good. So did I hear correctly, now you're Shane's boss?
Yes.
I love America where we can just flip the roles like that.
It was clear from early on how much talent he had. I think on like his second job review, I wrote, "This guy will be my boss one day," and he thought it was funny, but I was serious, and it's happened, and it just makes the team here stronger. He's got the background. He ran that wastewater plant pretty much for like 6 or 7 years. So when I have a problem, or if I'm struggling with something, I can just pick up the phone, and he lives right in town too, right? So that means I have to be careful what days I take off. So yeah, no, it just makes the team stronger, and it's a great addition for me, I can tell you that.
When did you assume this new role?
It was about 2 years ago.
Okay, so you've been,
Yeah, so when I was in Sturbridge for about 6 years. Shane mentored me. He downplays what he did for me.
I'm sorry
but-
for you.
But he was a mentor, he guided me. I was able to progress to lead some neighboring community projects. I spent 5 to 6 years in Taunton, Mass, before taking the regional position, so.
so you didn't take the regional position 2 years ago, or did you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay, because we
But
just,
all progressive roles within Veolia.
got it.
This,
He actually has 17 projects, so he's a busy guy.
but very excited to be
Yeah, I'm
here in
glad to have him.
Sturbridge.
It was the plan all along, right? So, and Sturbridge is lucky to have him, I'll tell you that, because he's a great guy, number one, family guy, number two, very, very smart, so. Right, you have my reports for June and July. Really, nothing stands out. Plants are running well, the wastewater plant's running excellent. Wanted to talk to you about drought status. So we're in Massachusetts in drought status 2 right now. And if it goes to drought status 3 and the Westville Dam goes below 18 cubic feet per second, we will have to update our restrictions on the water ban. As of right before the meeting, I checked it, the river gauge there is at 23.5. So if and when that does happen, I will go through Robin and Heather, and then they will notify you what extra restrictions we're going to put on. That's by our permit, we don't have a choice, okay? We've actually, Heather and I actually visited a couple wastewater plants, looking at some equipment. One was the upgrade that Zach did in Taunton, and that's for the new screens at the wastewater plant, so we're getting that work going too. I signed the agreement today to clean the Fisk Hill tank, so you'll see crews up there in probably another month, and they'll be cleaning all the debris out of the tank. Again, it's another requirement by regulation. PFAS, I just saw the latest results. I didn't put them in this report, but I'll put them in your next report. We're right at the limit. But I didn't blend yet. I wanted to see what happened when we got all 3 filters back. So that's how the next set of sampling, I'll stop blending and try and bring the bad source down, more water out of the good source, and see what happens.
When are you going to do that?
The sampling is scheduled for October. So you back off on, so it's well one that has all the PFAS. We'll back off on that in a couple weeks, let it run through September at the lower rate, and then see what happens with the blending.
So what neighborhoods are impacted by the max? We're right at the limit on one of our tanks, and what
We're
is
right
that,
at
the water supply?
No, it's the water supply, not the water tanks.
I mean, what is the,
So that's just it, they haven't finalized the rule yet, right? So we're still waiting for DEP to finalize the rule. It's around, and there's certain contaminants they're talking about actually taking out. So right now, there are we're just reporting, and we're doing more sampling than we're required to. We were only required to sample twice this year, but after talking to Heather, we decided to do it every single quarter. Figuring the more information we had, the better. The good news is, well 4, which is out on its own, has very little PFAS and won't require PFAS treatment.
But the one that's at its limit.
That's well 1, that's the one right next to the water plant.
So what neighborhoods does that impact? It doesn't work like that?
No, it doesn't work that way. It's all, when it goes out, it's all combined together.
Okay.
Okay? So, and I'll put those in my next report, but I just wanted to let you know I am at the Lytton, but I haven't, and I talked to you about the blending before. You know, I'm hopeful that with the blending, we can get the limits down. We're still trying to get a meeting with Mass DEP to adjust our permit, but we've had a tough time getting in touch with them, because everyone's just so busy. And that's all I had for you tonight, unless you have any questions.
Any questions from the board for Shane?
So I just totally understand. Why isn't that automatically blending then if one tank goes to everything?
The well, it's not
The well.
The wells, so what happens?
Wells are automatically blending. We're going to decrease the usage of that well, so there'll be more clean water than what we normally would have operated at. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because we did, do you remember when we had the perchlorate issue?
I do.
That's how we got around treatment, by blending, by running the good sources more and staying under the limit that way. And actually, the plume from chlorate has moved on. We don't have that issue anymore. So, but the PFAS ain't going anywhere. We're gonna have to either achieve the limit by blending, or you're gonna have to put treatment in when you build a new water treatment plant.
And why are we waiting to blend again?
Because we just did the filter rehabs, so the last couple tests was only with 2 filters on. I wanted to see what the difference is with all 3 filters on. And it came down a little bit, but not enough.
The hope is with that third filter, it'll come down enough.
That was what I was hoping. Now I'm hoping with the blending, we can get it down to where we need to be.
Yep.
But if not, the worst case scenario is when you build a new water plant, which you're gonna have to do anyways, you incorporate PFAS removal. It's also showing up the wastewater plant too. The only difference is wastewater doesn't have a limit right now, but usually when you're reporting something, there's a limit coming down the road.
So you think you'll be blending by October?
I know we will be.
Okay.
Hearing no other questions for Shane, it was really nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in, and
so
Shane,
much.
thank you, Shane.
I do know that there was another item that was to be discussed. It was the uncontrollable circumstance letter that was provided by Veolia. Just wanted to provide some insight to that. So that was kind of a generic message that went out in the hopes of transparency. It's not saying that it was something that Veolia was going to be doing. It was just that there was a potential. If the events that are occurring over in the Middle East continue, we're seeing, chemical prices soaring and fuel prices soaring, and that impacts operations. That happened, I apologize, that happened, that letter went out kind of in the transition of my role. And I looked through the contract. In the existing contract, we don't really have any means or mechanism to apply that force majeure or uncontrollable circumstance. So really, that's not applicable for the Sturbridge contract.
For us, it is. We're happy with that.
It's not super significant for our Sturbridge project, so it's, just wanted to let you guys know that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Shane.
Next up, we have Conservation. Lauren, you.
Good evening, everyone.
How you doing?
I'm good. My report's a little longer, obviously, because I'm before you once a year, so I'll try and skim through it a little bit more, but obviously you all know Lauren Vivier, Conservation Agent, just cleared my second year this past May, so this is now kind of a recap of my first year of trying to get situated, and then year 2, which was a lot of planning. Also, in year 2, we hired a new assistant conservation agent, Lori Williams. She started last April. She has been a great asset to the office. She does handle a lot of the tree removal permits in office. She's gone above and beyond as trying to expand her knowledge for trees specifically in this area. So I'll kind of get into that more as we're going into our details here. Obviously, I support the Conservation Commission, which is a lot of our effort for public hearings, reviewing applications, providing recommendations. I also provide support for SLAC and the Trails Committee, mostly agenda posting, meeting minutes, and then just meeting with different members of different associations to try and plan projects ahead of time. Currently, the Conservation Commission has 5 full-time members. We do still have 2 positions open for alternate members that do participate, but we have up to a capacity of 7. So if you know of anyone, please send them my way. In this past fiscal year, the commission held a total of 14 regular scheduled meetings with public hearings and 5 special meetings. Over all of our permits, we issued 157 permits, which is about where we were last year, the year prior. Just some different variation with permits. Some of those orders of conditions that were issued in the prior fiscal year had been hearings that had been ongoing. We were able to wrap some of those up and move forward. Once you're doing the initial site visit, pre-construction activity meetings, follow-up visits, you're looking at approximately 300 site visits just from those projects alone. That obviously doesn't include any on-site meetings that we have for people that are planning projects or kind of in a mid-construction if we have to go do a follow-up for any type of minor changes or activities, any town projects where we're going out with other departments, DPW, planning, Board of Health, to try and work on any other projects that might come before where there's some crossover with the departments. As far as enforcement, we issued 3 enforcement orders, 2 notices of violation, and 1 cease and desist, and we issued 1 fine and received 1 fine for $300. The issuance of notice of violations partially decreased because we've been doing a lot more education and meeting with a lot more people ahead of time, building our relationships with lake associations, with communities, the senior communities, the campgrounds, and where there's more of a collective activity going on, and also working just with general community outreach and education that I believe is really showing off as well. As far as the department's major accomplishments for the year, as you all know, we worked very hard to wrap up the updates for the open space and recreation plan that was approved in this most recent fiscal year. We look forward to implementing a lot of those ideas. Some of them we've already started on, some of them were started on during this process. As we continue to move forward, we might look for support from the board for grant funding or any other type of project support that we might be looking, volunteers and things of whatnot. So I would expect that throughout the year you'll be seeing me for other approvals. I know that I have a couple items on the agenda today as well. Obviously, we've been working on the master plan for the Dowdy parcel, so thank you for everyone that's been involved in that. It's been a great project, and of course, would not have been possible without our previous planner, Jean Boubon. Now we have this great parcel that we have so many opportunities for and are looking forward to that. We are wrapping up the Plimpton master plan. If we are staying on our timeline for that, the draft plan will be posted for public comment starting on September 4th. And presenting the final draft to the Conservation Commission on October 1st. So that's for Plimpton Forest. There were some hurdles working with Natural Heritage Endangered Species Program, because as you know, a good majority of that project is protected. Their response time is a little bit more complicated, so having to just kind of get through the release for the data sensitive species, which is supposed to be confidential, and then you have to wait for that to go through their approval process before they'll give you that information. But obviously we have to work with them for this planning process, and they also have to get a copy of the master plan too. And then of course working with our CR holder, who is Opakam Land Trust, for this property. We've done a lot of coordination. Our consultant, Conservation Works, Jill Craig has been our primary contact over there. She's facilitated a lot of these conversations between Trails and Opakam, which has been really great, trying to find some good ground with all the trail systems that have been there, both planned and a nice surprise of several miles of unauthorized trails. So we have a plan to kind of work towards that, bring some more historical information to the site, potentially some more passive recreation, and just kind of get people excited again about this parcel of land that we acquired some time ago. We have submitted the draft forest stewardship plan for the lead mine parcel to DCR. This was funded through DCR grant, and we did get that reimbursement back. Now we're just waiting for the final approval. In the meantime, we are still able to apply for grants to apply for an actual forest cutting plan, if that's the avenue that we're going, which is what's recommended. Apply for grants to do invasive species removal. With that lead mine property, there was only 2 parcels that are under the conservation restriction. The type of funding that I had applied for that project was only 4 parcels with conservation restrictions. So I did just recently submit several more applications to DCR last week for the abutting properties that are all tied in, as well as Heinz Farm, to try and get all of those under a similar stewardship plan and the southern half of Doughty. That if I can kind of have those all be similar in the goals, then it will make execution of projects a lot more consistent and easier to maintain. We were fortunate enough to get funding for the climate and bird plan as well, so any of those plans are also meant to promote carbon sequestration from the forestry and also habitat for birds as well. So I'll look forward to expanding upon that. We also finalized the survey for the Fisk Hill property and had a baseline documentation done, which is a great first step in acquiring property, of just having someone go out there, confirming the boundaries, having the wetland delineation done. It makes planning a lot easier for us as we're moving forward, looking to do trails or recreational opportunities, and it's a good way to kind of wrap it all into one. Now that we have that, when we have those maps, it makes it easier to use those as a basis for future planning efforts. I continue to do our quarterly conservation and coffee conversations that are just an informal stakeholder group. We're about 9 different entities that are represented in this group, including Fish and Wildlife, Army Corps of Engineers, Opakam Land Trust, Last Green Valley, Open Space, Conservation, Trails, and SLAC. So it's been great, and we've had some really good projects come from that, including the Your Land, Your Legacy seminar that we hosted in July at the Senior Center. We had more than 50 people that attended this seminar that was specifically focusing on conservation restrictions and Chapter 61 plans as well. With some of the more recent things that are going on with affordable housing and solar siting, Robin and Aiden and I have actually been speaking about trying to do this again, but broaden it a little bit more with some more options and really try to strengthen our relationships with landowners in town and show them their options for planning for their future. As we look at some more impacts of heavy development in residential neighborhoods, this would be a really good way to kind of protect that more long-term, as that's also a great benefit to all of our natural resources and our drinking water and our safety, of course, and keeping Sturbridge the rural community that it is. We also offered a seminar called Simple Steps, Big Impacts last August. We had a little over 20 that attended that one. It is in summer, but we were working with a college intern, so we were trying to do that as her final project. This focused more on simple things that homeowners can do to reduce impacts to stormwater, to wetlands, to wildlife habitat, including promoting the use of rain barrels, which was kind of a soft launch for the rain barrel program. We've now done 2 different offerings, partnering with the Great American Rain Barrel Company, where residents were able to purchase at a discounted rate the rain barrels for their own home. We just kind of get to order them in one bulk order and they get shipped. So we've done that in October and April, and I think spring kind of seems to be the good timeline for that. So I plan to kind of keep doing that every spring for us. Last year was the first Great Sturbridge Pumpkin Walk at the Riverlands. This was an absolutely fantastic event with more than 50 families that came from all over. We had over 15 contestants ranging from ages 4 to 75. For the younger kids, we did the hand-painted pumpkins, but it was a fantastic turnout. The trail was lit. thank you to Leslie and Marita Tassi, who were there to help volunteer. We got a little bit more people than I was kind of anticipating for the first year, so I know what to expect for the second year to come, which this year will be on October 23rd. I believe I put the rain date as the 24th, so we're going to try a Friday this year and see how that works out. But it was a really fun event, a really great way for people to connect with our open space, people to visit a trail, maybe where they haven't been before, and also it's free entertainment for families, which is hard to come by these days. Another great effort for those who have not seen, we've made Chip the Beaver the unofficial mascot. Chip's being used as a educational tool for the department, really to kind of help us connect with the community, to help us connect with younger generations, and it's a great way to kind of just get a face out there. We hope to do some more kind of like simple branding things, activities for kids in the summer, and that's really
cute.
just,
He's
yeah.
very cute.
It will really help strengthen our relationship with the community, but also just awareness in those younger generations as, you know, they're starting to really develop those interests in conservation and protecting their habitat and getting involved in scout groups and things like that. So it's been a really fun thing to work with. And then we've done a lot with the children's department of the library. We hosted a family nature walk this past spring. It was held on a Saturday, and we had about 12 different families that came with toddlers, infants. We did a stroller-friendly trail that starts from Lead Mine, crosses the street to Heinz Farm. It's about a 1-mile loop. And then we did kind of a little snack time over at the Fairy Garden, which was really nice. I've done a couple story time activities at the library as well, which has been a nice little break to kind of bring some fun to the office. But it's the little rewarding things that sometimes make it a little extra fun too. You got to look for the good where you can, of course, in the midst of permitting and enforcement and whatnot. We were able to assist the tree warden this year with our Tree USA applications and put a significant amount of time into getting that, and we got our status back as being a Tree USA community. With that, Lori has taken the urban tree planning that was first started several decades back, but had not been updated since about 2018 when we had the infestation with the moths. So this plan is getting updated. She was able to recruit some volunteers that are going out using our GIS systems and surveys to identify these trees, working with Tony as well. Having this tree identification and updating these layers on our GIS is going to be a great planning tool, especially as we look for more development and even more opportunities to do more climate-friendly projects, cool down our pavement areas, reduce safety hazards. So it's going to be a long-term benefit that we hope to continue to stay up with. We've done a lot with lake stewardship this past year. As you all may recall from the last town meeting, the Big Alum Lake Association had requested betterment funds for a study on their water quality. We also have Cedar Lake that's trying to put more efforts into it. So all collectively, these lake associations have a great volunteer base and residents that have the time and resources to put into all of these planning efforts, trying to identify these problems rather than just trying to pump chemicals and treat. So it's a really great effort, and it's great communication that we're trying to help support them in any way that we can. This year, we were able to work with Big Alum Lake Association to try some different methods for vegetation management, including the benthic barriers, which is like a breathable tarp that gets weighted down in your beach area. You leave it in for a couple months from early spring to early summer, and the UV lights are not able to penetrate through, which limits the amount of nuisance vegetation in your swimming area. So a good alternative to chemical treatment. For the few houses that did it this year, it seemed to be beneficial. It might be a great thing to look at going down the road for recreation areas or for our campgrounds or any other areas that have public swimming areas. Definitely a great alternative to look at. They also tried a new eco-harvesting method where Big Alum is such a deep lake. This specific eco-harvester that they used kind of looks like a pedal boat, and the wheel on the back scoops up the plants and pulls them by the root. The target plant that they were going for has such a thick stem system that it doesn't cut it, which can actually spread the plant even more when seeds drop. This is able to pull it up from the bottom, and they've got about 20 cubic yards from one of their treatments earlier this year, being able to pull from those areas. So being able to work with them and work with SLAC to try and get these projects going has really been a great asset. Of course, we continue to do the lake monitoring. Right now, we are looking at trying to find a way to make the lake monitoring program stronger. When this program had first started, it was by a resident who had the time, resources, and expertise to do lake monitoring, knew what was needed, knew what type of testing was needed, and he dedicated these resources to start the program, start SLAC, and since then has not been as involved in town projects, but still maintains a relationship. The volunteer that kind of took over from him, this will be his last year initiating, or should I say supervising, the annual lake testing that gets done. We're starting that actually this Friday will be the first day for lake sampling. So we're trying to find a more consistent way of getting this done, but also the data interpretation, because that's kind of where we're lacking. Right now, we get the test results from the lab that we spend, approximately $5,000 on. In previous years, we've been fortunate enough to have interns that were able to take this data and put it into Excel spreadsheets so that way you can compare for previous years. But even with that, that doesn't really give us the full understanding and comprehension of what's going on with the lakes. If testing is needed for certain sites again, kind of raising those red flags to really help us understand the data and make the money that the town is spending on this a really valuable effort. So we're trying to develop a more robust program, meeting with different colleges to try and see if one of them might be able to help us with this as an ongoing effort rather than just volunteers that can change hand to hand, year to year, or as a possible alternative, trying to hire a consultant to do the analysis. But I think that given the amount of colleges around us, that this is a really great opportunity for them to work with us. So fingers crossed that we are able to get that, because it would not only save some money for the town, but it'd be a really valuable way to look at the lake data and have some good comparatives too. And then, of course, this year the town's been updating the hazard mitigation plan that conservation has gotten to be a part of, and there's been some great aspects of it that will go in for water protection, wetland protection as well. Our challenges are pretty typical and will stay from year to year. Obviously, Shane brought up that we are still in a drought. We remain behind about 2 years, so I don't anticipate that changing anytime soon. So really, we need to plan ahead as far as what these environmental impacts are now that we're finally starting to see them. I'm sure you've all seen just in your neighborhoods around you, trees that are changing, invasives that are coming up more, trying to analyze of which elemental aspects are responsible for these, so that way we can try and plan in advance, help make our forests healthy again, try to help make our water quality stay as good as it is, and if not, improve in moving forward there. Watershed management's always going to be a challenge, especially the way that so many of our water bodies are set up. Cedar Lake specifically, that's got the Pike on one side and Route 20 on the other. So trying to work where we can with different entities, find different opportunities to improve, assessing stormwater, anything that's coming into our bodies of water or going out of these bodies of water is something that all needs to be considered. Aquatic invasives are obviously a problem for many of our lakes. I can't think of a single one that doesn't have them. We also have the harmful algae blooms at Cedar Lake as well that we treat for. So working on improving the water quality testing and grant funding to kind of do these watershed studies is going to help us, at least in planning efforts. Conservation stewardship remains an issue, but we're trying to build up a more robust volunteer program. As you know, the town owns over 2,000 acres of open space. Just the Dowdy parcel alone increased our open space by 13%. So having the capacity to have someone go out to all of these properties, looking for encroachment issues, assessing the overall health, exploring potential uses if there are ones that could benefit the town, is all something that needs to get done. We're working at it piece by piece, starting off by kind of just inventorying all those parcels and the information that we have, putting time into deed research and trying to build up that database so we can kind of move forward. And then staffing, of course, will always be an issue for every department. Again, we rely heavily on volunteers, and our community Boards and commissions are a great asset to us. Seems we're kind of starting to lose them more and more, but hopefully we can revive another generation to get involved in the community, make things exciting, kind of show everyone how, when we're caring for our community, everyone can come together and we all benefit from it, even if it's taking some time out of your day. For this coming year, we made a lot of plans in the last year. Now we want to continue any of those planning efforts, but also start implementing them. So applying for grants where they become available. We anticipate there will be a lot more environmental-based grants this coming year with the Biodiversity Act and the Mass Ready Act. These are all still kind of playing out as far as litigation goes, but planning ahead for what projects we want to make a priority and trying to kind of get some rough estimates together so when those grant opportunities and funding opportunities come up, we're ready to act on them. Expanding our stewardship is always going to be a continued effort, trying to recruit volunteers to help us oversee these things and staff support, deed research based on experience. We work with Leslie at the Senior Center for some of the senior hours, and we have some nice volunteers that do have some experience with reviewing plans and things like that, which has been really great because just kind of that little bit of familiarity or people that have administrative experience, and that can really be a benefit to our office to kind of lighten some of those loads to get some other work done. Planning ahead is always going to be our best effort, not just for our land, but also future impacts. There's a lot of regulatory changes that are going on right now, and trying to look ahead at how things like priority housing and solar siting are going to impact our land use and impact our resources and just the community as a whole. Trying to take a look at some of the parcels that are not yet developed and what kind of outreach can we do or connection can we do to try and preserve some of these lands, protect the aquifers, protect wildlife habitat where needed, versus ones that might be more suited for development, and just trying to get our heads around our own assessment of our land before we have people from California telling us what's good for our area. Reviewing regulations is going to be an important thing this year with everything that's coming up. Right now, there's 3 different drafts of the Wetland Protection Act from various things. One of them is from 2024 that's kind of just stayed stagnant, but it had a lot of stormwater requirements, and that hasn't really moved forward in 2 years. But there's been some big revisions with the Mass Ready Act. There was a difference in the vote between the House and the Senate, so right now they're trying to figure out what those negotiations are going to be for what amendments will occur under the Wetland Protection Act. But with those, we might have to do some bylaw changes for anything that's either inconsistent with state regulations or just something that would kind of create some inconsistency and backfire against us. One of the more simple things that's proposed in these is electronic submission, which will be great for applicants. For us, a little bit harder because it does kind of contradict record retention law that requires us to have hard copies of all of these things. Plus, I don't know how you all prefer to view plans, but for me, a paper plan is much easier than trying to stare at it on a computer and turn page by page and zoom in. So things like that, we'll have to figure out how we want to navigate that going forward. This coming fall, the commission's going to be reviewing our current tree removal policy. That hasn't been updated in a couple of years, and we're seeing a lot of changes just with the tree removals in the last 2 years of trees that are very, very much impaired, especially ash trees, the white pines by the lakes. We're seeing a lot of loss here, and trying to get those resources back is going to be quite a battle, because a tree that you're planting now isn't going to kind of get to that magnitude again for several decades. Strengthening watershed management, and of course, continuing public education are always going to remain goals for us, and we continue to reach out. That is all that I have. Does anyone have any questions?
If I could just jump in really quickly, I do want to thank Lauren, because I think so often conservation is sort of seen as the no commission in town, the sort of the negative, because their role is to protect, and sometimes when you're protecting, you have to say no. And we have a very restrictive bylaw by design, and this is what has been voted and approved and whatnot. But in that sometimes gets lost all the value of conservation. And I think I really want to credit Lauren with sort of community conservationism, if you will. We talk about community policing. I think what we also have here is that was sort of seen as an enforcement arm, if you will. And I think Lauren has done a really good job of bringing that in a very public, positive, this is the community we love and this is how we protect it. So I just want to thank Lauren for that effort and that feel that's out there. Yeah, the people are still going to be mad and have to go to the commission and have to deal with Lauren and have to have her say no. But I think sometimes people understand that better when there's a good community relationship. So I want to thank Lauren and Lori for that effort.
100%. And this is such a thorough report. You did such a good job explaining it. Thank you for all you do. And I know if there's any question from the board.
No, I thought it was fantastic. I know you said you're going to focus on implementation, and this year was planning. So how many grants are you hoping to apply for, and what kind of money are we talking about?
Lots of money.
So Robin signed 5 applications for me on Friday for DCR funding for more of the stewardship plans for those surrounding parcels. One of the agenda items for tonight is support for a 40B grant for Cedar Lake to do a watershed study. So that one, we are looking to outsource the grant composition, just because I think that a professional skill set with someone that has the expertise on the lake and that has studied that specific lake will help us build a more competitive grant coming from tiny Sturbridge when you're looking at all the watershed issues in the state. The conservation stewardship grant has been ongoing, so that's one that we're going to be looking for certain properties. I'm trying to avoid any community preservation for stewardship because I think that there's other outlets that I can use. And I will intend to apply for the Community One-Stop Grant for a kayak launch at the Shepherd parcel, which is allowable within the conservation restriction.
Oh, for kayak launch.
And it does not go through natural heritage. We already have an okay from Army Corps and meets requirements within the conservation restrictions, so there shouldn't be any major obstacles to do that.
That's good.
That's good.
Unusual, but good.
And also one of the goals on the open space plan of helping create a blue trail, so we kind of get 2 checks in one box for
Sorry, I
that
missed what
project.
you just said.
On the open space plan, there's a goal in there to expand the blue trail. So just having another option of trying to put boats in. So by doing this project and, potentially doing this project and building the kayak launch, we'll kind of be able to accomplish 2 major goals within the open space plan.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
And our next, she can, if you want to just
Got the
take her a
next
minute,
3.
because I can cover my thing, and then she's our next
Perfect.
agenda item.
Yeah.
So then just very briefly, under my update, I already mentioned the opioid scholarship. I do want to mention we had a virtual meeting on the Route 49. Heather was on this with me, the Route 49 upgrades from DOT. They're looking at a roundabout at Putnam, down at Walker Pond, a turn lane, and then a new light at, onto 20, where you merge to the right if you're merging west onto 20. I believe that's all available online, the slides, they were going to get them to us. I don't know if I've seen them yet, but, so it's a 25% design phase by DOT. It was a public meeting. We did have some residents get on and ask some questions, but I just want to keep the public and you all informed that that is progressing.
Where is the traffic light, at the end of 49?
At the end, onto 20, where the
20.
merge, the turnaround
Yeah.
is there, because their feeling is that there's a lot of rear-end accidents where people start to roll, and then they turn back, and then they stop, and the person behind them is still rolling and rolls into them. So those were not the high-injury accidents, but there were numerous accidents. The high-injury accidents are up where they're putting the roundabout. So just an update on that, and I'll keep you all apprised as it goes.
Thank you.
And then if you want to go on to the...
Yeah, let's jump right into the action items, and action item A, consideration of possible action on authorizing the town to enter an agreement with Geosyntac Consultants to conduct a limnological study for Big Alum Lake for the amount of $20,000 FY27 betterment funds.
So this was part of what Lauren had mentioned on working with the lake groups. I will say we are being more proactive, because these were coming in, sort of trickling in. One lake wanted it one year, one lake wants it another year. We are trying to get a protocol that all in the future will come through SLAC. We are working with the head of SLAC so that the individual lakes go to the SLAC meeting, and then SLAC will request these for us. But in the meantime, this is a project we would like to move forward on.
Perfect. Cool. So, any questions from the board?
Tell me what a limnological study is.
So a lemnologist studies water quality.
Fancy word for
they're-
water quality.
Okay.
Be
okay.
taking information that's already been collected through the years of testing, through the aquatic surveys that they do each year, and then some additional testing as well to help get a better understanding of the current condition of Big Alum and make recommendations for improvements.
Great. Hearing no other questions, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion, second, all those in favor? Thank you.
Got two more.
You got
Got a
two more,
couple
right?
more for
You're
her.
up.
Yep.
Consideration and possible action authorizing town to enter an agreement with Wilcox and Barton Inc. to draft and submit an application for a 604B grant through Mass DEP.
Earl Nielsen formerly worked with TRC that did a lot of the lake studies, did South Pond. He did our 319 grant work over on South Pond, has done a lot of work with Cedar Lake, has since moved over to Wilcox and Barton, and we would like to use his expertise to write the grant for us, so that way we can try to remain more competitive.
Great. Any
And what is the 604B grant again?
So the 604B grant is for watershed shed studies.
Okay.
Hearing,
Been told the pot is bigger this year, but that doesn't mean that the projects will be, more or less. There was only 5 that were offered last year, 5 grants last year. So,
any other questions from the board? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the town to enter an agreement with Wilson and Barton Inc. to draft and submit an application for a 604B grant through Mass DEP.
We have a motion, a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Did you say it? Oh, okay.
Next up, consideration and possible action on the select board issue a letter of support on behalf of the Conservation Department for Section 604B Water Quality Management Planning Grant application to conduct a comprehensive watershed assessment of Cedar Lake. So, looking for a letter of support from us to...
a letter of support
Yep.
to apply for the grant and to put towards the packet. We were told that the grant was going to open last week, and it didn't. So we're still kind of waiting for that any day now, but we also don't know what that time frame is. So whatever your process normally would be to either write a letter of support and whether that gets reviewed by you all, or if you just...
You could authorize us to draft, you could authorize me to draft a letter of support.
Yeah,
So moved.
Thanks. I just
second.
volunteered myself.
we got a motion, a second, all those in favor? Perfect. All set.
Thank
Thanks,
you, everyone.
Lauren.
Have a great night.
Thank you, Laura.
You too, Lauren, thank you. So you're going to draft it for our signature and then have it at the next meeting or before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next up, we have consideration and possible action on the issuance of a hawker and peddler license to Benjamin Emerson for door-to-door sales on behalf of Trinity Solar LLC, August 17th through December 31st, 2026. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. You want to just introduce yourself and kind of say what hours you'll be out there in the community?
My name is Benjamin Emerson. I'll be working for Trinity Solar, and I think I'll be here usually around like 2 to 8 o'clock at night.
I think we cap at 7.
Yeah,
I think
we usually
typically
cap at 7, so if you,
Okay.
yep.
Yep.
So 2 to 7.
His police department has signed off, I believe. Yep.
Yep. All right.
And this company's worked with us. We've worked with them in the past.
Right. Any questions from the board? No. All right, hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to issue the hawker and peddler license to Benjamin Emerson for door-to-door sales on behalf of Trinity Solar LLC, August 17th through December 31st, 2026.
And not to exceed 7 o'clock?
Pardon?
Not to exceed 7 o'clock at night?
Not to exceed 7 o'clock at night.
I'll second it.
I thought we already had voted on that.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I think we have to do it with every,
Oh, okay.
you know what I mean?
Okay.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? Perfect.
And just a reminder, if they have a no soliciting sign up,
Yes,
please respect
absolutely.
that. So,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Awesome,
Thank
thank
you.
you, good luck.
Thank you.
Do I have to do anything else, or?
The police department will issue a badge, so that will go through tomorrow.
Okay, so just wait for them to call me or something? All right, awesome.
Thank you.
you guys so much.
Consideration and possible action on appointing Alex Perrin to the Design Review Committee for a term to expire August 17th, 2029.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having Alex join us as
Great.
part of the community.
Yep, pretty straightforward.
Yep.
we have any questions, or hearing none, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to appoint Alex Perron to the Design Review Committee for a term to expire August 17th, 2029.
And I will second that. All those in favor? Next up, consideration possible action to authorize the expenditure of $58,900 from the funds appropriated under Article 24 of the FY27 Annual Town Meeting for water quality and treatment alternatives analysis of wells 1, 3, and 5 to authorize the town administrator to execute the professional services agreement with Ty and Bonding. This was voted on at town meeting, and now we just
Bonding
want to...
is there, and this is just formality in the contract. Yeah.
I think that's fairly straightforward. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Hearing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
And I'll second that. All those in favor? Consideration and possible action to approve a $30,000 contract with McClure Engineering, Inc. for engineering design services for the Church Street Water Tank Utility Shed Project using funds appropriated under Article 43 of the FY24 Annual Town Meeting, and to authorize the town administrator to execute the agreement. Same thing, we get...
This is just the design phase of this only.
Yep.
We need to show progress per DEP, I believe it is watching that, and we just need to show that we are making progress on it.
Okay. Any questions? And if hearing none, a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All those in favor? Consideration possible action on reappointing Deborah Shiro to the Monuments Memorial Markers Committee for a term to expire September 2nd, 2029.
And we are appreciative she wants to stay with us.
Yeah, thank you. That's great.
Yes.
Hearing no questions, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Deborah Shiro to the Monuments Memorial Classification and Policy Committee, oh no, wrong line. Markers Committee for a term to
She's
expire
merging our committees.
September 2nd, 2029.
And I will say, and we have a motion, a second. All those in favor? Great, thank you. Consideration and possible action to reappoint Lawrence Morrison to the Personnel Classification and Policy Committee for a term to expire September 18th, 2029. He's given a lot to the community.
Wonderful,
so
Mr. Morrison.
great
Yeah,
that he
he's a
wants to
tremendous
continue.
asset. He
So
really is.
I will make a motion to reappoint Lawrence Morrison to the Personnel Classification and Policy Committee for a term to expire September 18th, 2029.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor? Consideration and possible action on signing the collective bargaining agreement with the Sturbridge Police Association.
So if I could ask the members of the negotiating committee and anybody else who'd like to come forward, but we have our couple members of our negotiating committee here. In addition, we had a dispatcher on the committee. This is the public, you all saw it in the tentative agreement that you all voted on in executive session. This group then brought it to its full body.
Yes.
And it was taken to vote, and so now is just the chance to publicly vote this contract. I just want to take a brief second for the public to know what we put into the contract, because I think it's important for them to understand how we approach collective bargaining. I first want to thank the negotiations team. It was a very good process, I think. We aired out some concerns that were there with the department. We talked about understanding the importance of taxpayers' dollars, and these gentlemen and the lady at the table understood certainly very well that all of that needs to be taken into consideration. I would like to say that I want to thank the chief as well, because he was integral in much of this, involved some management questions and decisions and changes. And so we went into this with a belief that we had a couple things to think about, obviously money in contract negotiations, and that's fair compensation for officers who, we know first responders have a tough job, but also understanding the concerns that taxpayers have and how important every penny of taxpayer dollars are. We also wanted to look at morale and retention. And I think that that was an important part of what I think was on sort of both sides of the table, and doing all of this in a way that benefited the community as well as the officers. Very briefly, you all had seen most of this, but for the public, just a couple of highlights of this. The wage increases are 2% in each year, 2%, 2%, 2%. There is, however, now we removed the standard flat longevity payment, and we instead, like we did with the fire department, put in seniority steps, again, with the goal of retention. So there's a step at 7, 15, and 25.
25.
And it's much like what we did with the fire department. So in addition to the 2%, an officer at 7 years gets another percentage increase, and then at 12 would get a 0.5.
At 15 would be
15,
0.5, and then at 25 years, 1.25.
1.25. So we did add a little also to accreditation. We went back and forth on that a little bit because they have a 2%, but accreditation is getting more stringent, and it's not reviewed every 3 years now. It has spot checks every year. We talked about whether or not only a few officers should get that, or every officer, and in talking to the chief, I think the chief believed it really needed to be across the board, because he needs to be able to rely on anybody at any time for that. So that was a little bit of an expenditure there. We did establish dangerous duty days, so this was sort of an interesting take.
Peak risk days.
Peak risk days.
Peak risk days.
Yeah, I call it dangerous duty because it is. Peak risk days, and that really looks at days that they're at more risk for Thanksgiving Eve, St. Patrick's Day, Super Bowl, and what other eve?
New Year's Eve,
New Year's
Thanksgiving Eve, Super Bowl Sunday, and St. Patrick's Day.
And those are days that we want to encourage officers to work and take overtime shifts and whatnot, or to take shifts where we don't have forces. And we did that through some compensatory time on days that they worked those days. We did establish super holidays, like similar to fire department, that was on parity with fire department. Some of the other tweaks were on parity with that. And I think that those were partially some of the morale things that we talked about, understanding and respecting some of the challenges that the department faces. We did put also officer wellness, mental and physical health. We had already established a mental health compensatory day if they were to visit a psychologist or a counselor of some sort. We do not see the results. This is not a competency test by any stretch. This is an officer just goes to a counselor of some sort, a registered, counselor, and decompresses by choice. And they get an offset day for that. We do not see the results. We don't see the records. It's to encourage mental health. Similar to what we want people to do for physical health and go for an annual appointment. And then we also did incorporate physical fitness test, a stipend if an officer took a physical fitness test based on certain standards and passed that test to encourage that. IODs cost us a lot of money, and injured on duties tend to happen when officers are less fit. More fit officers have less IODs. There's a frankly, there's a benefit for us on that, and we also want healthy, fit police officers.
And those standards aren't just made up. Those standards are what the MPTC require a new recruit to do in order to enter into the academy.
And that would be what they test based on.
What happens if they don't pass the test?
They do not get the stipend.
Yeah.
They would just.
But other than that.
They would get 1 hour of overtime for participating into.
But there's no punishment for not passing it, because we can't mandate, we have nothing in the contract that mandates a level of fitness.
Right, I just was curious
This
as
would
to
be
what
to
would happen.
encourage it, yes.
So it's the PAT test that you take before?
Not the PAT, so this is an actual physical fitness test that's required by the academy before the recruit can go in. The PAT is just a basic physical agility test to make sure that you can pull down a body to the ground, put handcuffs on somebody, jump over a window, and they have where you have to shoot a firearm 5 times in under a certain amount of seconds. This is an actual 1.5 mile run, 300-meter run. They took out push-ups. They do a plank now, sit-ups. So this is an actual physical fitness
It's
test.
pull-ups, do you have to do those too?
No pull-ups yet.
I can't do those.
They will change that eventually, I'm
It's
sure.
a true
coming.
physical fitness test.
Okay.
So,
And that's
those-
based upon age as well, so it's not just one set standard, it's based upon how old you are, what you have to
Yeah.
do for that.
Okay.
So those are the basic, I'd say those are the sort of the highlights. If there's anything else you all want to add or say, I think I hit on the key points.
The key points, yeah, definitely.
Did you get overwhelming support when you voted on it, or be willing to share that?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, we had a turnover, a pretty large turnover, so a lot of our guys are new, young, energetic, ready to hit the ball running, so they are thrilled. They're also new, so to them, it's their first contract, so they're trying to understand it. So you tell them you're working a peak risk day, you're getting your super holiday, they're pretty ecstatic about that, so.
Wanted to take a moment to thank the town administrator and our chief of police for a tremendous amount of support throughout this entire negotiation.
Huge, yeah, it could have been something that would have been drawn out, but it was really simple, straightforward, and really easy to talk with each other and work things out rather than just battling.
It was a very respectable table.
Yeah.
That's
I
good.
think it just shows the appreciation that the community has for us and vice versa that we have for the community. that you guys appreciate the work that we do, and that the stuff that we're asking for isn't astronomical, and it's not,
We're realistic.
out of the book. It's something that, we look for to benefit ourselves, but also give you better service.
We certainly appreciate everything you guys do, so thank you for everything, and very happy to do this. Oh, go ahead.
So we just need a formal vote
Yeah.
for you to authorize me to sign the contract?
Yeah, yep. Do you have any questions from the board, or are we ready to make a motion? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the TA to sign the collective bargaining agreement with the Sturbridge Police Association.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion, a second, all those in favor?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen. Thank you all.
All right, old business, purchase of snow equipment approved at,
I think we had one more thing at the bottom.
I'm looking at the old
Yeah.
agenda here. I gotta
He's got it, yeah.
Get on the ball.
So this was a one-day liquor license for All Choice. This came in late. We have not had a chance to run it through the police chief, which is where it eventually will go. But we are willing to put it out for you all to vote, but not to be released, because you won't have a meeting before the event. So because the event occurred earlier this year, All Choice got a little thrown off, and we didn't want to exclude them. So it would just be a vote to offer that one day, to approve the one-day liquor license, not to be released until police chief sign off.
Yeah, yep. Altruist has done a lot. They've
Yeah.
never had any issues. I'll go ahead and make a motion to issuance the one-day liquor license to Altruist Brewing Company for the town bonfire on the Common September 5th from 5 to 9 with the police chief sign off.
Second.
All those in favor?
I would abstain.
Snow equipment. We would like to purchase of snow equipment approved at town meeting. And Heather, thank you for all the work you've done with this. You've given us a document broken down with 3 different classes of equipment, also with the existing piece of equipment that's being used now that we feel we can do better with.
Correct.
And to give a little summary to the people listening at home or to the people that are gonna list, there's 3 pieces of equipment: a 2025 trackless MT7 machine that is a total amount of $224,700 with the attachments.
Correct.
Then a 2026 Wackernussen wheel loader that with the attachments will be $135,721. And then a Ventrac 4520 that has a total of $73,670. And I guess I will start by asking that you feel all 3 of these pieces aren't perfect, but they will be a help to what you have now.
Right, so basically what I'm trying to present tonight is that we know that we need a new piece of equipment to assist us in clearing the snow from the sidewalks. We do have 2 machines currently that we use. One is the John Deere small tractor, which is really more of a very small tractor, homeowner grade, good for smaller areas, but not for good for doing miles and miles of sidewalk, or very heavy snow. A 2-inch snowstorm, we probably could use it. Anything more than that that sits for a day, it's not going to happen. We do have a Bobcat with a blower and a plow that usually goes to the down 131. That machine is a little wider. It doesn't fit on our narrow sidewalks that we have going out on Route 20, on the up towards Route 20. So we did go to town meeting, asked for the highest priced machine. At one time, you guys had tabled it, so I did provide you with 3 different options. All of the machines have their different benefits and drawbacks, obviously cost being one of them. The most expensive machine is designed for just that purpose of clearing sidewalks, and that's one of the reasons we originally looked at it, because it is obviously designed for municipal use for clearing sidewalks, so it's used to that type of environment. The small loader would be fitted with a snow blower on the front of it, and obviously it's much more like our loader attachment. It is a narrower base. We can get it with a narrow base and a narrow snow blower on it, but of course, it's still going to have issues where we have the poles in the middle of our sidewalks. It's still going to have issues where we have 30-inch, 36-inch sidewalks. It won't fit physically on those sidewalks. But it will still improve our efficiency. It will be a more reliable machine. It will be more durable. The third machine, being the Ventrac, is obviously the cheapest option. It is more of a landscape type machine. It is for commercial landscaping. You see these a lot at golf courses. You see these a lot. They also do steep slopes. They have some abilities that the other machines don't. They're more for landscaping, doing that like parks and rec type of areas, more maneuverable, so that does help us around some of those telephone poles, even though they're still the same wide and stance. They do have a snow setup. So all of them have their pluses and minuses. The two other options have more other equipment that we can use in different parts of the year, which is very appealing to us. You know, the small loader would be very good to use on trails because of the smaller wheelbase. Could have some value for in the trails work that we assist with. The Ventrac might have some value with some of the parks and rec where we do know we're lacking in equipment. So I can't say that I have super strong feelings other than to say that I do think the department really does need another very reliable machine to be able to clear sidewalks, as what is the desire of the board. And I hope that you will support us in at least something to make it better.
The town meeting funding for the $250,000 for sidewalk snow removal equipment did not specify a particular piece of equipment. It was just a number for equipment. So we do have the latitude. It did not lock us in on a particular type of equipment.
And what was the amount?
250.
250, I thought.
Yep.
250,000.
Now, if we don't spend the 250, if we went with the Ventrac, would that money still be set aside for DPW?
So that would roll back into free cash because we only asked for 250 for equipment. So if we didn't spend it this year, it would roll back to the free cash, and then we could just, if you wanted to buy something different next year or more or add on, we could then just ask for it in the capital budget next year.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Will this trackless one that's the best for sidewalk clearing also be very effective for the commercial landscaping?
So
Or will you not be able to use it for that?
it doesn't have the same type of attachments as the Ventrac for the landscaping. It does have some. It does have a mower. It does have some different things. It has blower attachments and things of that nature. It's a lot longer wheelbase, if you know what I'm talking about, that meaning it's a lot more difficult to operate. It doesn't operate as well in small spaces. The Ventrac is it's more like a like a tractor, like you might see that you would use at home to mow your lawn.
Oh, okay.
You got the comparison, you're talking about a large machine versus a small machine. I'm not trying to compare apples to apples here. I'm giving you three different options that will all do a better job than the current machine that we have.
But they're all focused on different things.
But they all have different focuses, right? I could give you compare an apple to apple for the trackless. There is another brand that is very similar to that. The price is going to be very much the same. I can get you another small loader price. The price is going to be very much the same. It's just of what
do we want?
What are you comfortable spending? You're going to get an improvement. It may not be still perfect. I do like the options. The Ventrac does have options for doing brine and salt off the back, which is very nice. The Wacker-Neuson does have an option for doing a spreader off the back. It's not as sophisticated as the spreader, meaning salt, for the trackless or the Ventrac. So they all have their pluses and minuses.
So, we just did something with brine, too, didn't we?
Yes,
We
we
bought a
just-
tank for the,
We are getting a brine production system so that we can make our own brine. So now we'd be able to put the brine in the tank to be able to potentially pre-treat sidewalks so the ice wouldn't stick as easy, just like we're going to do on the roads. Post-treat even with brine potentially, so we will be able to make our own brine by this winter. We are very close to purchasing that, and we'll also have new brine tanks for two of our trucks.
so, does the board mind if I jump in and just ask? So, I'm somewhat familiar with these three machines. I'm certainly not an expert on them, and I'm looking at them, and they're all going to have their struggles, and they're all going to be a benefit to what you have currently, and I do agree that you do need something. To me, I like the idea of the Ventrac because of the brine tank that can go on it. I also like the potential attachments that we could get next year through betterment and whatnot to help with the ball fields, help with the landscaping. The price is obviously the most attractive of the three, and the fact that you're getting a benefit, I just think that would be my support. Does the board have any questions regarding this?
All right, I have a comment.
Yeah, please.
I know not even anywhere close to what my friend here knows, given your background. No, I'm just saying, that's your background, so I really respect, what your opinion. I just know that when I look down at this, sidewalk clearing in the winter is a priority of mine and the different residents that talk to me. We're trying to be a walkable town, and we only have Route 20 and 131. And I know I have been a major complainer. I hate that side of my personality, but I've complained a lot about the snowstorms and the fact that all the sidewalks are icy. People have a hard time trying to walk on them. We have a young community, a lot of young mothers and fathers out with, their strollers, trying to get into restaurants. So I don't know. I just feel like, the town was behind it at 250, and that's why I was asking. And I also complain about the weeds, so I know the commercial landscaping would be good. I really want both of them, but I know we can't have both. So I'm leaning towards the one that's designed for sidewalk clearing in the winters.
The trackless one?
Yeah.
But that one's, you had said that that's a powerful machine and it's big.
So it is big, but it is meant for sidewalks, so it is designed to have a wheelbase. It is, I think it's just over 50 inches, so it's still reasonable to think that it's going to be on the majority of our sidewalks. I will, Route 20 from Cedar Street to 148 on that one side of the road where those poles are, any of these machines are gonna struggle. They're going to be on and off just because the poles, I went out and measured them. One of them today, there was literally 24 inches of clearance between the
They're
sidewalk.
right in the middle of the sidewalk.
Yeah.
It's really
It's very, very unfortunate. Hopefully, in a long-term plan, maybe within, sometime when they do redo that study, we can fix that problem.
I think part of the question on all of this is that we're talking about snow generically. Snow can be 3 inches, snow can be 20 inches, snow can be 3 inches and then freeze, which is worse than 20 inches of fluff, frankly.
Correct.
Or it can be an inch of rain on top of 3 inches of snow, and that's another issue. So I think the question then comes to, do you buy the piece of equipment that can do the heaviest of the heavy, which may or may not happen twice a year, or on a bad winter it could happen a lot of, like last winter it happened more often than a lot of winters. But we can go 5 or 10 winters, and this came up I think at my retreat, we could go 5 winters with hardly anything. So I guess the question, and this is really truly a board question, I'm not trying to put it off onto you guys, but it really is a policy decision, not an operational decision. Do you want to spend the money on the piece of equipment for the worst case scenario, if you will? Do you spend less money, and then I think we've talked about, and then say, okay, contract out on the snow ice budget if we have a major storm, and like a 2-foot storm, contract out, because frankly, our DPW guys, even if we have the equipment, may not be available. They may need to, we're going to be working one of the things in discussions with negotiations is that those guys need rests built in. It's almost dangerous at some point to have them out there. If we contract it, that solves that problem, but the flip side of that is we are also at the mercy of the schedule of who we're contracting with. So it might not be the next day. That's, again, what is it that the board wants? But I can tell you, if you buy the equipment, I cannot guarantee that the next morning, those same guys, if they've been out plowing a 20-inch storm, are going to be able to get in that piece of equipment, that $250,000 piece of equipment.
I can almost guarantee you they won't be because of safety.
Yeah, it will be a safety issue for them, and frankly, for the equipment, for our equipment too. Not that I'm not worried about the guys. And people, the public. So I think that that's sort of the discussion of investing the money, but I can't guarantee you that now, I can guarantee you that 6 hours later, one of those guys is gonna be in there driving it, you know.
Well, let me ask this wheel loader made for loading, I don't know what that means. Is
So
that
it's-
more of a landscaper or weeds, or is that more snow?
So it's actually made more for moving materials, like a traditional loader is. So it's made to, move dirt, move whatever it's moving. So it can move snow, yes. You can put a blower on front of it, yes. It's probably not as maneuverable as maybe, say, the other machines. It's not as powerful as the trackless and its blower on the front of it. But you could take the blower off and use it to scoop snow if you had to, I guess, and if you could look at it that way too, right? Because it does have a bucket it's a traditional loader. It's just a mini version of the big loader that I have, right? So we have a big loader that couldn't even fit on a sidewalk. This is designed more scaled to a sidewalk.
Can I ask her another question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
That's why I'm here. I'm trying to, and I'm gonna say, basically, all I know is what I've researched. I haven't driven any of these.
Last year, we had a really bad weed problem on Route 20 on the cobblestones. I remember complaining, and you said that you were able to, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but were you able to borrow something from Mass DOT?
Mass DOT did that. Mass DOT will not allow me to go out there and do anything on those cobblestones. They have specifically asked the town not to touch them, that they are the only ones that are going to do anything on the cobblestones. And they, after hearing the complaints from basically, and the discussion in the select board, they were able to schedule a night work where they went out and did work on the cobblestones. And they know that they're an issue for us because we've even discussed them in design meetings with them and other issues.
Not in the Rotary, I get that. Okay, so none of this is going to help our weed situation.
Not on 20. We can't do it.
What about the weeds that permeate onto the side, that flow over to the sidewalk when people are trying to walk? Because that's got to be on
so we have multiple things. We have bought a piece of equipment that is supposed to be able to use hot water to help kill weeds. I haven't had a chance to get our staff out. We do have it. We've already bought it. It was something that was funded with this year's money. We've had it for a couple of weeks now that we've been able to potentially go use it. We haven't had a chance to go use it because of the long list of things that I've had going on. So we want to get in there and test this out. It wasn't extremely expensive.
So you already have a machine for that.
But
So
it's
this
not a
isn't-
machine, it's basically a superheating water. We don't know how effective it's going to be. We're hoping to spray it under. What I will say, the Ventrac does have an attachment that will go around fence posts. And I asked if it would go around guardrails, because some of the locations where we have weeds are underneath guardrails. And and one of the things that when I talk to my staff, it's not that they hate weed whacking, it's that they hate getting covered in poison ivy.
I get it, but people who are trying to use
Oh,
the sidewalks.
I'm not saying, but we have to be careful from a operations standpoint that we don't expose our staff to extreme conditions. And so if we can find a tool, like the Ventrac, that's a positive for the Ventrac again. There's positive and negative. We are hopeful that we can go and treat this and kind of kill some of those weeds along the sidewalk with just hot water. It's just superheated water, and that will alleviate some of those weed problems.
And the Ventrac would also be good for that.
The
Is that what you're
Ventrac could
trying to say?
also, we could buy an attachment that would go on the front that potentially could go along those and basically trim weeds down. And we do have our roadside mower, but again, on Route 20 and 131, we get in situations where we are not supposed to be operating on their roads with our heavy equipment. Cases like, I get it.
Yeah, no, it's just frustrating with the state.
Oh,
You know, it's not your fault, it's just tails over.
Well, all I know is she's not here, but I remember Mary Blanchard saying when those sidewalks were put in, God rest her soul, they said they are not going to maintain them, that's going to be up to the town. So we're hearing a little bit
No, no.
A little bit of
And I think we're
It's the
consistent
equipment
on,
on the roadway that we
Yeah.
cannot do. So if the equipment that we have to use goes into the roadway or requires any type of shutdown of a lane.
Oh,
or
that's
impact of
different. That's
traffic,
different, but they may-
sometimes it does, and that's what we cannot do.
Right.
If we were out there with our big mowers.
To do all of that
That's why
on
we could do a
sidewalks.
big mower, we can't do the cobblestones, those are their purview. They're very clear on that.
Yeah, I don't know that, but they used to maintain them a lot better than, so maybe we need to increase our relationship with the Mass DOT. Because in the past, since I've been sitting here.
It's a lot of, there's a lot of back and forth.
It used to be a lot better, I'll just leave it at that.
Well, okay, just to bring it back to the snow side of things. All these will be an improvement. Kaden, do you have anything I didn't want to stop?
No, yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I kind of agree with your thinking here, Chase. I think any equipment we get that's not specialized only for snow would only be an improvement, where it's not sitting there, the rest of the year, especially if we're going to spend this much money on it. What can we do here that would basically, serve us throughout the entire year and all our different projects? I was trying to find the article to see if it's even possible to do two, but I can't find the wording of the article.
I think it was just in the capital, and it said sidewalk snow removal, 250,000. Now, we publicly, in the meeting, so I want to be a little careful, because in the meeting, we said a piece of equipment. And I think if we were to buy two, that's a little borderline.
And while it did pass, there was a motion to reconsider that had the majority to reconsider, and we don't know what that would have happened. I would feel more, what I would like to see happen is, I mean, personally, I would be for the Ventrac now. And then any attachments we could get through Betterment in the spring would be great. And then if for some reason, Heather, that didn't work this winter, we could open up looking at that wheel loader to help out next winter. And you'd still be under the 250.
Right.
You'd still be under the 250, and you'd give it a shot, and you'd have an
So
improvement.
we could always buy less than what's authorized, but to buy two pieces of equipment, even if it's
Yeah.
less, isn't quite, because remember, it's a capital meeting that gets voted on.
Right,
what I would say is, I mean, I obviously only got certain prices in here. Maybe you give a not to exceed price for the Ventrac, and I can see how many pieces of equipment I can buy with it. Of like,
And again, the
we
spirit of
definitely
it
want a
was
brine
to
tank, we
remove,
definitely want a
so I
spreader,
just
we
want
definitely.
Yeah.
How much attachments do you
Yes.
need?
Correct.
Attachments, 'cause
But again,
you're not
we,
gonna-
But attachments to the piece of equipment, to make it as versatile as possible
Right.
for the use of the town.
but keeping in mind that it was voted for the purchase
For
for
snow-
snow
right.
removal. So
that's-
I almost think that at this point, I would be more comfortable buying it as is with the snow removal attachments.
And then bring it back.
And any attachment that we could justify as snow removal.
Yes.
And then if we want to buy landscaping attachments, we can put that on the
Afterwards, yep.
capital budget next year.
Yeah.
But I would
Or
like,
even-
I would,
Betterment even
multiple
work?
plows.
Betterment, but Betterment's getting tighter and tighter.
Yeah.
So, but we could capital, because again, we're gonna roll back a lot of free cash on this.
Yeah.
I'll
Right.
totally support it if we get the attachment for the snow removal.
Yeah.
Because that is
That's-
what the
that's what we
townspeople
did.
wanted.
That's-
My concern is anything outside of that isn't really what was voted on.
Agreed.
What if
And,
we went to 75,000 approval for the Ventrac?
Well,
And see
I-
if she can get an attachment.
I think it would be a little more than that. I mean, what I definitely, the brine tank, I consider snow removal. So I would want to make that
Absolutely,
right
that's-
now. And I would consider this, do the 10%, the 73, plus the brine tank.
Yeah, I think that includes everything. That includes the snow plow, the plow, the snow blower, the
So
spread.
this wasn't quoted prices, these are prices off the website,
Okay.
just to
Yeah.
give
She
you.
put a
Yeah.
contingency.
That's why I put the
Wall
contingency on
said
there.
that she, $100,000 for this machine or whatever appropriate attachments, that's gonna give her more than enough room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it all rolls back. It doesn't mean she's gonna spend it all.
I think
It
that's-
just gives you a count. It
That's-
gives her plenty of room to shop for all the snow removal that can go with this particular piece of equipment.
I'll support that.
I think that's, yeah.
And I think that gets, so again, if the money were to roll over and we realize that what we got was not sufficient for our purposes, then we could go back to town meeting and
yes.
say, we put $150,000 back into free cash, and we'd, love to bring that
Exactly.
article back.
Yeah, and then you have the loader to.
I'd be comfortable with the Ventrac and 100,000 cap on it.
Yeah.
With all the snow.
Yeah.
With as many snow pieces as I can.
Attachments as
We can get.
possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, if we,
We'll make that
hearing
motion.
no other questions, you want to?
Oh, yeah, I'll make the motion to purchase the Ventrac unit with all the possible snow removal, what are these, accessories or? Attachments, not to exceed $100,000.
Second.
All those in favor? And Heather, I just want to thank you, because I was probably the most critical of this, and the fact that you went out and you got these other prices is really appreciated. I want you to know.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Thanks
Heather.
for supporting it, too.
All right. Citizens Forum. No, approval of correspondence.
Oh, that was already discussed. Yep.
Any old business from Mary Lou? Mary and Kaden?
No.
Nope. New business?
Nothing?
Any new?
No?
I have none. Correspondence, we
That was
kind of
already
discussed
addressed.
earlier when the gentleman was here. And approval of minutes, August 3rd, 2026. Do we have any edits there too? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as written?
I wasn't here.
Oh,
I'm just trying to find
We
it.
can still do it.
yeah, we got three, yeah. I will make a motion to approve the August 3rd, 2026 minutes.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, all those in favor? Citizens,
Francis?
Citizens Forum, we have nobody here, which makes that easy. Executive session.
So I did not end up getting the TA completed yet with DPW, so the only other thing would have been one round of minutes, which we can wait on, so if we want, we can hold on the executive session.
I think it's been a long meeting, it was hold till the
Yeah,
next.
we got a lot covered tonight.
Yeah, we did good. All right, motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?